And welcome back, y'all. If there's any other questions in the chat, please let me know. I didn't see any, but I
think there were a couple that were popping up, popping something.
Popping
If you
sideways.
guys see any, please let me know because I didn't see any as I was scrolling.
Let's see. We've got how many of the characters from Wizards are still alive during Realm Season 2?
Oh,
I mean,
I can't answer that question
Yeah.
Yeah.
yet. Even if I could, I wouldn't answer that yet.
That's fair. That's fair.
Are you okay? So I have a question that's sort of off of that. Outside of the obvious few exceptions, at what point do the wizards stop becoming whoever's character and start becoming NPCs? Like, when do you get to play with them and decide who dies and all that sort of stuff?
I'm allowing that to kind of allow it to just unfold organically.
Okay.
Because I don't want to force it, and I have ideas about who might become who, whether it's a current demigod or becomes their own demigod or dies.
Right. Which we talked about a little bit.
So it's very challenging for me to say, like, Rook is going to become Travanis, right? That one was easier because that's over a shorter time period. Because technically, this last season is it's going to be compounded over time. So we're going to go over many years for this last season before we get to the finale, where everyone is level 20, and they will be able to make that distinction and designation at the end of the campaign, right? So like, yeah. So it's yeah. So there's going to be a lot of things. Sorry. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be kind of undisclosed later on as we go, right? So
Sure.
towards the end of the campaign, once we have whatever the big boss fights or whatever it might be, this big epic ending of Wizards of Ugador, where we have 15 level 20 wizards, which that's not going to sound terrible. Also, because I know people were asking questions, the boost doesn't carry over. It just happens initially, and it goes on for like a minute, and then the boost is complete. So we'll end up on the Twitch homepage for like a minute or so, and then it goes on to the next person. People were asking the question.
Every little bit helps, though.
But I also think that it would be nice to have just, all those little toy soldiers in your bag. So like, oh, look, who's a member of the council? It's Ebdar. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Sure,
like, you know what I mean?
sure.
Just, you get to just sprinkle them in as necessary because you have all these very powerful wizards at this point.
Yes,
There you go.
and I mean, and it's just one of those things to where I could make that distinction. I could, reach out to whoever your new character is and be like, hey, I'd like you to be blah, blah, blah. That's going to change how you play the character. And if... Because there are like we have what, like 20 demigods, right? So there are 20 demigods that any of these wizards could step into,
Sure.
which is great. So they're already canon. They've already had some NPC stuff and everything else, right? So if I'm trying to think of a good example, if Chorus became, I forgot his name already. If Chorus became Weemus, right? I believe Weemus is the god of wine and agriculture, right? So that's Wednesday. So if Eric's character became that, great. We have, it's there. It's all looking great. Eric's character does it at the end. I'm like, hey, surprise! It's Chorus, and that's kind of fun, right? But do I, as a DM, railroad that player to become Weemus because I've already thought about that, or do I just allow these players to kind of, once we get towards the end, you're gonna know, hey, I want to go to the Vale,
sort of,
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, even sort of after the Wizards is done, then you have all these sort of things.
Oh, we'll
in your
know by the
bag.
time once Wizards is done, we'll know who is who. 100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like whether we'll say it flat out or they take on that identity of this god, right? So Chorus becomes Wemyss, or maybe we go back and rewrite the lore for Wemyss, and Wemyss is now Chorus, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's whatever fits with the lore is kind of the idea. But we will, whether meta or non-meta, know 100% of those 15 wizards who dies, who goes to the Vale and just retires, who stays, whoever they are, as an immortal mortal in Ukador, and then who ascends to become a demigod. We will know on paper all of those things.
So I see there's a new question in the chat, and something I also want to put out there, and we should probably discuss the one in the chat first, is I think we could all have an interesting discussion about what we did when we realized that like our relatively flat, our like one-shot characters for wizards were going to become a longer campaign, and like how we made them deeper for ourselves. But I do want to get to Ferx's question.
That is a good question. What is your favorite piece of character death you've seen? Doesn't have to be a D&D character.
That's an easy one for me. But...
Yeah, that goes with character depth. I mean, we can wheel that into this this conversation a little bit anyway. Like, character death is an interesting thing, right? Whether it's a PC death or an NPC death. Talking with April, she's probably not watching because I don't think they have internet. But Kai, we had a one-on-one session. I had just me and April for 3.5 hours for her character's session 0, right? I had to make her care about everybody because there was nobody for her to connect to. So within the first 15 minutes, this NPC character that she kind of created as like a thug had all this backstory, and all of a sudden she cared for him. So when he sacrificed himself to protect her and her friend Samanji, she got all choked up and teary-eyed. It took me 15 minutes for her to care about that character enough to have that emotional reaction. And that ties into our topic today, which is character depth and death. I mean, I've killed a lot of people have died, a lot of story arcs have died. We just saw Roland didn't die, but he left, right, to save his sister who did die, right? So there's so many different ways, and because this is the world of D&D and fantasies, you can always bring people back, right? Magic is magic. Like, even if someone dies, you can bring them back somehow if they want to come back. That's the kick in the nuts, right? It's like if the creature chooses to come back, and that's how we lost Donahue. She didn't chose to come back, and all of a sudden that just hit us all in the gut.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I think that I'm just gonna limit my scope of to looking at character deaths in D&D because all media is too much. But
yeah,
I think what makes a good character death is when it feels like it caps their story in an important way, and that I think is definitely my favorite. I mean, favorite's not the word, but it's the one that felt the most right. It felt moving. I was sad. It was devastating, but it was also so in character, and it's she finally reunited with her brother, and even leaving us at this kind of crucial juncture. It was it was really motivating for all of our characters too. It was just it felt like a really devastating but really good story beat. And
talking about
really,
Donahue,
talking about Donahue.
Yeah, that one was hard because, and those of you who don't know, spoilers, it's too late, guys. It was 60 episodes ago. But the Realms of Ukador Season 1, Donahue, played by Anne McDonald, was one of my first players. She played 96 episodes, 97 episodes, and died 3 episodes away from finishing the campaign. It was kind of by design that Voltok was going to wreck y'all. I didn't think I would kill everybody, but I did kill everybody and left GW with 13 hit points or something ridiculous. I was like, "Ooh!"
And a pile of corpses.
A pile, and as a DM, you're you want to get really close, but not too much, not accidentally TPK your party 3 episodes away from finishing the campaign because no one will like you at that point. But make it painful enough to be and then GW was amazing, and he ended up finishing Voltok. And then Roman, and then
Volrock.
Whatever.
Tomato.
Volrock, Voltok, Valrook, they're all the same. So there was another NPC there too, but they all helped, him bring everybody back to the Fae. And then GW has this huge thing where he comes up and he screams to Azir, who's my Zeus, and he's like, "This is your fault." And for those of you who've been paying attention, you find out how much more this is his fault, because Azir created Volrock to take care of Travanis back in the first age, and that same Volrock found corruption magic, came back, corrupted Azir's daughter, and almost killed her. That's the same Volrock, and Azir created this monster. And Azir came back and let everybody live. The funny thing, not funny thing, but the terrible thing was 3 days before that episode, Anne sends an email to GW saying, "Hey, I don't think Donahue would come back." And GW's like, "Fuck." And then he quickly messaged me. He's like, "I don't think Anne's coming back." I'm like, "What?" And then we had this like back and forth conversation, and like I just kept giving her like small snippets. I'm like, "I totally understand." As a DM, I'm like, "No." And you know, as a showrunner and everything, I'm like, "No." But then I started thinking about, like Lizzy was saying, the story beats, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." So GW, myself, and Anne decided that we weren't going to tell the rest of the party.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've talked about in other shows, but that threading that needle very finely, where your players trust you and you trust your players. And we had a conversation at break, and I said I was sorry, and everyone agreed that they were happy that I didn't tell them, I think, because then they got like really emotional. Like they didn't know it was coming, and GW turned on the waterworks, and it was also by design. So I had said that Anne had came in early, and then because she was working, because she really was working. And I had put like her little icon, or I had a black box, I think it was. So everybody had their black boxes out, and GW went down the line. He resurrected Logan, and then Saiyan, and then Torque, and then Cerise, and then he went to do his best buddy, who's been best buddies for 96 episodes, and best buddies in real life. And I went through the narration of everything worked, and nothing happens. And then GW, who knew what was going on, just lost it, and everyone else is like, "What?" Like, nobody else knew what was going on, and everybody just lost their minds. And it was amazing story-wise. I felt terrible. But it's just one of those things that you kind of just go for it, and then you're like, oh my god. But that is like one of the most impactful. That's the only... I can't say only. I feel like I've had another PC death.
I mean, there was...
But not in Realms.
But I mean, that was a sort of different situation.
That was a different situation. But yeah, this one definitely was the biggest one. This was just like when what's Talison's character's name? Mollymuck. When Mollymuck died. And we all know that Mollymuck died because he didn't want to play Bloodhunter anymore, but that's fine. But it was still like this huge thing where like everyone's like, "Oh, what?" And like just crushed everybody. But I want to hear more about other people's emotional breakthrough.
I think it sort of goes back to, just in speaking in generally speaking, motivations, right? So these characters that have depth and motivation and connections, that's what creates an impactful death. Just having a character die on its own, it may be sad and stuff. Well, I mean, just even the one that's happened to me, which was Rook. Like, on the inside, like, there's two things that you got to have going on. There's Stegan's reaction, which is, whatever, she made her choice and blah blah blah, and I got to go through it. And then like me, I'm like, what is happening? there's like a class 5 fire going on in my head. I'm like, what is happening? I don't know what's going on. So you just sort of try to roll with it and go. But then, then there's the other side, which I've actually never experienced, because as I've said many times, I'm not a DM. But when I killed Kiwin, the sheer and utter silence was not something I was prepared for. The sort of shock value. So that was actually really terrifying, because then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna walk over to Nafako. I didn't know what to do.
So now that the cat's kind of out of the bag, let me ask you as a player, because that wasn't Thegan or Ronin's choice. That was something that I pushed for the other motivation. Sure. How did you feel having that choice taken from you as a player?
I didn't mind it. I was worried because I guess this is involved a little bit bigger explanation. I had a thought process for why I was going to be fighting each person, and the reason why I was focused on certain people. The reason I was focused on Nafako was her shield and this sort of connection and that sort of grudge that I have. reason I was focused on Carrick is because of the previous episode, which I wasn't even a part of, where he was laughing at Pyriel. And I sort of figured that he was going to be a lost cause. Something about Eclipse told me that there may be something there that I could use. Kyriel was sort of off the board because they didn't really interact too much. And then so this idea of like I was going to have to find a way to kill Kiwin, but then it just naturally presented itself. She was with her brother the entire time. They were shielding each other. They were healing everybody. And then she saved. Well, I guess nobody knows this, but I know that when I hit Roland, he was down to what, 3 hit points?
Something
two
like
or
that.
three, two or three hit points. And then she teleports away with him to save him again. And that's when he was like, all right, screw this. Like, you want these connections, you want to have this sort of family, let me show you what it does to you. And then he was still kind of right, because then, Roland disappears. So, pain and misery. So it was awkward from a Ronin perspective, but that's only because it's not something I'm used to doing.
Oh man, wait, I wanted, since you said that pain and misery line, I think I've said this to a bunch of like other cast people, but I haven't said it publicly.
That's not the first time he said it.
Yes. So if you're on Patreon, there's some letters between Thegan and Lily. And in these letters, like Lily, like after prom, she and Thegan had this like really good conversation, and Lily's like, why am I not friends with Thegan? Like I feel like he's important to Rug. Like I should try and make this connection. So I sent him a letter. And actually, I sent this during a break of an episode, the episode where he like turns and like tries to
Adhesion stuff.
Yeah, with Othello, Magnus.
Yeah.
So that like I sent it in the first break, and like by the second break, I was tempted to write JK like in the chat, but I wanted to see what he said. And his response was that this like you basically like, I don't think you have what it takes to be my ally, and also like I'm allowing you to have your little relationship with Rook, but just know that it's gonna end soon, and it will lead you to nothing but pain and misery. And at the time, I was so angry. And I like, yes, that. And so when I found out what was going to happen, I'm like, Thegan's the only person who tried to warn me what was going to happen.
It's such a shallow thing. Anybody who's in a relationship is going to experience pain. He just uses that as an excuse to avoid it at all costs. So he's going to be right. You're going to experience pain, but it doesn't mean it's not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just so so funny.
He's just an ass.
It's a very fine line without offending anybody. I believe that there are some real psychics out there, but there are a lot of con artists out there as well. So like, it's you say things just vague enough, and you're like, oh, that's me. What?
It's a general
and like
statement.
the second, all you're doing is reading their face, right? You're reading their reactions. You say something, and you're like, oh, I believe you were dancing in the woods near a prairie. Yes, and like they're like.
Right.
What? Like, whatever. So like it's just those things, but watching those little threads start to like come undone, you're like,
yep. And he's very manipulative and very all those terrible things. So he's definitely gonna do that stuff.
There's also something letter related that I'm dying to tell you, and I know she's in the chat right now. But after that was done, I forwarded your letters to Kai, and she forwarded letters that she sent to you and that you sent to her to me.
Mm-hmm.
so much,
we're absolutely colluding.
So much conspiracy.
And it's actually, I guess you would have found out that he had more interest in her helping than.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was just like, I hate this man. Kai helped me take him apart piece by piece. We're gonna release.
Well, he didn't see. He saw you as a distraction for one of his other people, so that was the reason. So.
Yeah.
Poor Ebdar. Just literally, I don't know why you thought I was a good guy. I literally was like, suck it up, Buttercup.
Because you're the first person in this school who actually like spoke to me with any sort of regularity.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah. But I mean, and again, like we go back to character depth and everything else. The Wizards of Ukador campaign was only designed to have one season. And it was only supposed to be like 9 episodes long tops.
Yeah, four per what? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was super small scale. Jason with Monster of the Week was supposed to have something in September, and then things came up and scheduling was whatever, so I had to fill a slot. So I had thrown Wizards in there, and it took off, and it started to evolve into this other thing. Like, okay, let's do some kind of fun Harry Potter thing. Oh, we're going to have houses. And I just did that just to segregate groups. Didn't think that like everyone would have so much pride in their houses.
It's really weird.
And then all of a sudden took the bulk of our cast, and everyone's like, yeah, House Frostguard, fuck you, Silverthorn, Care Bears. Like, everyone's like throwing shade back and forth.
Very accurate.
This is what happens when you give us teams.
It was so funny.
It was happening in every chat ever. Like,
yeah, all of us were. Well, what was so funny in that last episode where Eddie and I called in at 2 p.m. So we were there for all of the shade that Frostguard was throwing at the other houses, and
yeah, they were there for the whole thing.
Paste blue
he's
to
listening.
her face. Yeah,
it was. Well, see, but there's the irony
That's really
because
funny.
you flip the coin. Ronin was in the Realms Call the whole time. I was taking shots because I knew he was there, and you all were laughing, which just made it even more funny. I'm like, yeah, fuck Ronan, he's an idiot, and he's like, I hate you, Solo, texting me. But if you guys if we could record the behind the scenes, you would see me I touch my face. I'm really trying not to laugh. I mean, I do a pretty good job of not laughing a lot of times, but I was I could feel the heat, because you guys were talking about
some chat rooms. I was like,
yeah, you guys were talking about Frostguard, and then you were talking about like Ronin as just a person. I'm like, yeah, whatever, his Segway suck or something, whatever, just taking shots.
you did say that.
But it was funny because I'm facilitating both, but then going back to that Frostguard episode, they were being shitheads. They were just, and I was gonna insinuate it or just instigate it rather, but they were just doing it on their own. I was like, all right,
Listen,
you got two
it's
Silverthorns.
It's how we get into
Moonlander.
character. Okay?
No, I get it,
Yeah.
but it's just funny that the shoes fit, right? So you guys took these characters that were just face value, that weren't meant to.
Right.
You were all supposed to be plot devices, right? Wizards of Ugador was created to be a campaign game to Realms. That's all it was. It was supposed to assist Realms, and it turned out to be its own thing, its own beautiful thing. And you guys continue to develop these characters and things and create it. And going.
So should we talk about that? What we?
I think we should, but I'd like to start that with y'all didn't get to pick what School of Magic you wanted to be in.
Oh yeah.
So that in itself, you create a evocation wizard because you want to do evocating. That's not the word, but we're going with it. But you create a wizard with nothing. And you're like, hey, you're going to be this. And you're like, okay. And then you take that now. So now you have a character that has a little bit of depth, and then you get something that's going to dramatically change how your character is in the world and shifts it to the other way.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky, so I don't know how much I
Actually,
want to talk about this. I got
too,
the
yeah.
exact thing. We talked about this, that sort of destiny role. So it was exactly who we wanted to have train Thegan, and then the same school. So
Well, moving on. So who else?
yeah, it was
Well, and
destiny. You rolled a 12.
That's fine.
It was. I also had that destiny moment. It was yeah. It's funny that we're the ones in the call because one of the few things I knew about Lily as a concept going into that first episode was I'm gonna bend this wizard to be a bard as much as I can by heck. That was the entire character concept for Lily. There was almost no more depth than that. This is my joke wizard bard character. And I was like, well, which schools would make the most sense for that? Enchantment or illusion? And illusion was in Frostguard, and I was not getting good vibes for I was not vibing with Frostguard, so it was just enchantment, please. And I rolled enchantment. But it would have been really interesting if she'd gotten something like necromancy or something completely different, and that could have set her on a very different path, but it just sort of worked out.
It did.
The thing that was really interesting for me was that I was very adamant about this. It's all right, you know what? I've played the wizard game before and stuff like that, but it'd be really interesting if I could explore something a little bit different. I feel like I've always sort of leaned on evocation. It's always just kind of in my thing. Let's see if we can try something different this time. And sure enough, with the roll of the dice, it ends up, throwing me down onto the evocation train again. But to that point, though, the thing that was interesting about it was that it created an interesting tie-in that I wasn't expecting,
Yeah.
which was the connection to Athora, which in and of itself developed Ebdar in a direction that I was not anticipating, because when I really stopped to think about it, there actually were quite a few parallels between Ebdar and Saiyan before he even became a Dragonborn to begin with, because in many ways their stories were somewhat similar in the sense of being someone with something to prove and coming from a background having to live up to fill big shoes.
Yeah.
What's funny is like
Yeah.
I guess this is part of that aspect of creating a character as you go is that War Mage probably would not have been the best fit for Thegan, because later on I sort of developed this idea that not only did he hate the Goliath clan that he came from, he hates sort of the Goliath association. So he may have actually shunned the idea of using a big glaive and that sort of thing. But his nature would have sort of taken over. So it was sort of a dichotomy in him, to kind of want to avoid that stuff but still be drawn to it at the same time.
Yeah, and Thegan, there's so much deeper with that, because Thegan wasn't just Thegan at War Mage. The biggest thing that shaped Thegan as a character was the conflict with Leo.
Mm-hmm.
The constant attention that both of you were... Leo wasn't really pieing for it, but you both were under Marduk's supervision. That in itself, whether Leo wanted it or not, had created that strife that you need to be his star pupil because of these reasons.
Right.
So it's a very typecast thing where like, I don't want to be the best, but like they're like, you're the best.
Well, and that's the other thing.
I
Like,
want to be the best.
it was a constant thing where he was like, "Oh no, I hate everything about Goliath, but I'm also super competitive, just like they are. I'm also, you know what I mean? Like, it's just he couldn't get away from it. So.
I mean, even on the note of just thinking about what makes interesting character development and character motivations and stuff like that, giving evocation magic as being the primary focus of school to a character who, an arguably very destructive form of magic, to a character who is the polar opposite of that, to someone who, if anything, tries very hard to not destroy things and to find the lighter path, if you will, the path of least resist of I'm struggling with words right now, but not conflict.
No, I understand, but arguably I would say that you specifically, Ebdar, would be the best candidate for that school of magic because you are on the opposite side.
Right, you don't want somebody like Thegan in there.
You balance it out, which means you understand the value of life, so then if you have to take it, you can take it.
Also,
that is like the focus of the school as a whole.
Right.
It's not teaching everybody to go around murdering everybody. It's teaching about balance. It's just like karate. Ronin, you learn karate.
I read a different pamphlet.
Right? But Ronin, you go to karate, right? You don't learn karate to go kick people's asses. You learn it for self-discipline, for defense. But it's more about it's just yoga. Right. It's just it's yoga and tai chi. Like that's what it is, right? With some touching. But
Freezing.
I go to a different studio.
By understanding, the dangers of fire, you hold a greater appreciation for it and can therefore harness it without abusing it.
But yeah, I mean,
side note, what was the item you used during your graduation? Because I literally was like rolling in my floor laughing so hard.
The cloak of many things.
Was it?
No. It's specifically, I think it's the robe of useful items.
Yep.
I literally couldn't breathe. I was laughing.
God, that was so funny.
That was y'all
you
can
thank
your
head with that
fellow
first one.
gave Ebdar that present as a you don't have any clothes that fit you, so let's get one that actually does. So here's a really nice robe.
Oh God, it was killing me.
That's so funny.
As a DM, we don't have much time left, but as a DM, I usually always say yes, depending, or like yes and we kind of modify when it comes to items and stuff. But with Wizards, I don't think I said that. Like I know Renee was talking about it on one of our shows too. Like he asked me, hey, I was looking to do this, and maybe this, one of these things. I'm like, cool, yes. And he's like, what? I said yes to all of them. And he's like, what? Like it was just that moment, right? But same thing with Ben. Other people ask me like, oh, could I have this or could I have this? I'm like, sure, right? Like, yeah, but Wizards was this interesting thing where I just kept saying yes. Now that I've said this, no. For anybody who asked me stuff for next season, no.
I asked for a feat and an ability score increase, and you gave it to me.
And y'all, I'm glad that you were dying from the rowboat as much as I was, because holy crap, I could barely even get the words out.
Oh my god!
But Othello,
So
though,
bad.
We were so lucky you got it that first time.
Ben was like, I really want to support, my players. I want to do this, this, and this. I'm like, yeah, like all these presents for everybody, right? Kizana was doing the same thing, and I think they gave each other like the same damn item, which was just.
It was they both gave us spell storing stuff.
Guys. You guys are just adorable.
It was so cute.
But
I was like, dang, I should have thought of this.
But when he said he wanted to give Ebdar that item, I lost it. I was like, yeah, yes, please.
Okay.
So good.
Please.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Like, what for me, for one of the things that I just wanted to get out of like what gave Lily a lot of depth was the relationships, and like that I ended up developing, and like sort of developed her by talking to people, and because we had this sort of limited screen time, like a lot of this happened with letters, and like this was like one of her first moments of like me finding Lily was the like, you're gonna cut me off from everybody. No, like you can't do that. I'm gonna find a way around this.
You brought that up because when you originally asked me that, I was like, I was gonna say no.
Yeah.
And I think I was like hesitating to that, and you were like, well, and you kind of gave me a little bit. I'm like, you know what? Let's go for it. And I'm so fucking happy I did, because that is what has created so much depth in this. Because, again, I had to really I had to be really crafty for next season for every player to at least play with everybody at least one time.
Yeah. And Taryn,
it's really hard. Yeah.
Taryn and I have talked about, like, had Lily been in Frostguard or she'd been in Silverthorn, like, none of this would have happened if you hadn't put us together in those notes. Like, it was, like, very, under this very specific circumstance that our relationship bloomed, because I don't think we would have had that same sort of connection of, like, finding this, like, secret time to, like, reach out to each other and explore this, and... Yeah, I mean, like, this campaign would have been very different for me, and well, at least for the two of us, and possibly just in general, if, like, that had never gone anywhere.
I mean, it's a testament to all DMs out there. Like, let your players do what they want to do. Like, I can't tell you how many episodes where I would start it, and I wouldn't say a fucking thing for, like, an hour. I would just sit there. I mean, I guess I would say stuff. I would do scene changes, but that's it. Like, okay, so, like, when you two finish this, we go to Ebdar. Ebdar, what are you doing? And then...
Yeah, I mean, because most episodes can't... At least I did. I came in with like, all right, I got 5 things I need to get
Everybody's
done.
got a list.
Like, but the relationships are true. I mean, even Thegan, who like prides himself on not having them, like the stuff with Bridget was wonderful, or Crixie. Like his prom, he's got like 2 or 3 scenes, and they're ridiculous with Crixie because they shouldn't get along, but somehow they weirdly do. Leo, another one, and like so even non-relationships helped build that character.
Yeah.
And Ebdar, God, the library scene with you going through puberty, like just whatever the hell that was.
I'm so excited for prom next Sunday. Buy your tickets.
Yeah.
Join the
So
Patreon.
with that note, I don't have my Ko-Fi thing. So, and I just realized that Cody's not here because he's still in power. So go ahead and click that link down below. That's our Ko-Fi. So on Sunday, we are having our prom episode. So we've been talking a lot about Wizards of Ukador. About a month before the campaign ended, we had a prom episode. We shot 16 hours of footage that I'm continuously cutting to about 9 hours. So it's 3-hour one-shots, essentially. It's all role play. It's very pretty, and everyone got all dolled up, and we have some fun things. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you get a free ticket, and we're gonna post the link in our Patreon, and we're all gonna jump on a Zoom call. So the entire 15 Wizard PCs will be in the call, plus myself and other cast and crew of other shows from Fable 42 will also be in there, along with all the Fable 42 Patreon subscribers. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, click the Ko-Fi link down below. Just donate a $5 cup of coffee, which is a ticket for prom. And then I will personally send you a link for prom, for that Zoom link. And then you can join the call as well and then enjoy the fun one-shot. I don't know if it'll go out on VOD later, but that's a way later down the line if we do decide to do that. This is supposed to be a very big special event for the players and our Patreon subscribers because they're helping keep the lights on and all that. So it's an interesting thing because the players haven't seen all of this. So I would have breakout rooms. So everybody who was just on just hanging out, and I would just bring in me, Ronin, and Lily, and they would have a call, and I would kind of turn my camera off, so it would just be the two of them. They would do their whole scene. We would end it. We'd move on. So there's tons of intimate connections. I created 116 overlays today. There are 116 scenes, guys. Most of which are one-on-one scenes. Some are 3-ups, some are 4-ups, and we have a couple 5-ups in the beginning. But most of which is personal interactions that Ronin has 4 or 5 scenes with other people, and then Eddie has 4 or 5 scenes, and Lizzy has 4 or 5 scenes. Everybody has all these different intersecting scenes at different points in this story. And we have award ceremonies for Class Clown. And we have Prom Marnox, which is the king and queen of prom. And there's a special guest that comes in later. And there's all this stuff. And because I knew that no one was going to see it, I didn't pull punches. And I was a little bit too forthright with a lot of secret information that a lot of people glazed over. So going back and editing it, I'm like, oh my God, I said that? And no one, wow. Wow, Solo. But there's just so much awesome stuff in there. So go ahead and click those links. Join Patreon and get the full spectrum of benefits that we give with PDFs of professions and characters and races and all sorts of stuff. Special VIP content like Lore of Ukador, which I will add there after prom is done. The prom episode and so on and so forth. Plus some other things. We do monthly giveaways for Patreon and all that. But if you don't want the pressure of subscription-based donations and stuff, $5 Ko-Fi ticket does the same thing. You get the prom episode, you get to hang out with everybody, and see if that's something you even want to do. Is this content worth it? It's worth it. But with all that being said, we're going to get ready to do... Raccoon folk are called Taudians, Ferrix, and they will eventually be a race that I will post on Patreon. We have 2 people who are playing those, actually, in the Choice is Yours campaign. And the beautiful thing about Taudians, and I'll give you guys a little spoiler, Taudians come from the planet called Taudian. This planet has thousands of different creatures. They have humans, they have elves and dwarves. They have raccoon folk and rabbit folk and bugbears and all sorts of things. Everyone is called a Taudian. They are all Taudians. It doesn't matter what they look like or what their background is or anything. They have been observing Ukador for a while, studying our trash and our behaviors from afar, understanding how we operate and do things, hopefully, and passive aggressively trying to get us to not make the same mistakes that they made. They've realized that they can't do that from hiding, so they try to come out. Taudians are a big part of Ashes of Ukador, which takes place in the 5th Age, which is my sci-fi series that we will eventually get back to. So this is a hat tip to that. So it's kind of fun. All that being said, we're running out of time, so we'll do some real quick where can we find you? Eddie.
Hi, everyone. You can find me at Discount Bard on the various social medias and also here on Twitch as well, where I stream video game content and all sorts of sidebar D&D stuff as well. And I'm also here on Realms on Wednesday nights.
Awesome. Lizzy.
All right, I'm Lizzy. You can find me at the Lizzy LD on Instagram and Twitter. I am here Wednesday nights with Eddie and some Friday nights for Wizards, which I'm very excited to get back to when it starts in March.
Very excited. And Ronin.
I am Ronin Fawks. You can find me at Ronin Fawks on Instagram, and you can catch me on the Fatal 42 Network every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific for Fox Talks.
Awesome. And I am Chris Solo. You can find me at DM Chris Solo on all the social medias. I play Castilius, a blood hunter human, tonight on Legends of Shao Gal. I am the DM of Realms of Ukador on Wednesdays. I DM Wizards of Ukador, which will eventually be every Fridays. There's a bunch of other things too. I'm here all the time. This is literally my life. This is Quests and Answers, where we go on a quest to find your answers. You catch us live every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific here at twitch.tv/Fabled42. Go ahead and enter raffle in the live Twitch chat to enter our between show giveaway. I am going to stop the stream here in a second, and in 28 minutes we will have the next episode of the Legends of Shao Gal. That timer will start about 15 minutes early, but the Twitch chat will stay active. So make sure to enter raffle in the Twitch chat, hang out, talk to each other, see what's all up. We'll jump in chat as well, but we will see you guys here soon.